All right. Girl, what do you do for a living? You pack a shotgun.
I'm a federal marshal and you're under arrest.
Hey everyone, I'm John from Let's Talk, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray for the 1998 film Out of Sight. This is also the video where we ask our digital code giveaway questions. That'll be at the end of this video. And if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, TV reviews, game reviews, we do them all here on this channel. So it really helps us out if you like this video and you hit that subscribe button. So Out of Sight is a 1998 film directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Frank, based on the Elmore Leonard novel that came out in 1996. And it stars so many stars. I mean, this cast is stacked, but right at the top of the list we got George Clooney, Jenifer Lopez, Albert Brooks, Dennis Farina, Steve Zahn, Ving Rhames, Don Shield, and there is just so much more. There's a ton of uncredited roles in this film from guys like Michael Keaton or Samuel Jackson. They're in this movie too. Like, this is just a stacked cast of people, and this film is, for Steven Soderbergh, this is a movie that you can see the director who eventually would make Traffic or Ocean's 11 really shine in this film. Like, those little, like, the way this film is shot and the way this film is acted and the way the story is, it does feel like the director who would eventually make Traffic or Ocean's 11, only a couple years later, because Traffic is 2000 and Ocean's 11 is 2001. Because Steven Soderbergh does make a lot of movies. If you haven't noticed, he's put out a lot of films even lately. He did retire for a short period of time, and then he came back with Logan Lucky. But Steven Soderbergh has made some great films over the years, starting in 1989 with Sex, Lies, and Videotapes. And then, obviously, he won the Best Director for Traffic in 2000. But that's also the same year he put out Aaron Brockovich. He's also made he's also made films like Magic Mike, and he's made films like Contagion, which is, when the pandemic started, that film rang so true in the world that we live in. And it was actually turned into more of a horror movie than what it originally... I mean, it was scary to begin with, but it got even scarier. And again, this is all Steven Soderbergh. He knows how to make film. He loves making movies. He doesn't just stay in one genre or just stay in one lane. He puts out all different types of movies, and he plays around with all different types of styles and cameras and filters. You know, this is a guy who loves movies, just like me, and just like I'm sure all of you, so it's always nice to see a guy who's really into film making film, and there is no exception to that than this, because this is just a fun, down and dirty, really beautifully shot movie that really lent itself amazingly to the 4K format, because Steven Soderbergh, like I said earlier, he loves to shoot his movies and play around with styles and edits, and the way there was a lot of care put into making this film, and it really just shows on screen. But the basic plot to this movie is George Clooney, in the beginning of the film, he gets arrested yet again for robbing a bank in a very dumb way. Although in a very charming way, because George Clooney is extremely charming, and you get that George Clooney charm in no other way more than in this film. So he gets sent to prison, where he meets guys like Don Shield or Albert Brooks, in another great Albert Brooks role, because he's almost unrecognizable with that bald cap on. But delivering some great lines, as always, that we always expect from guys like Albert Brooks. As the film goes on, he escapes from prison. Even though it wasn't in the plan, he eventually kidnaps an agent played by Jenifer Lopez, who was actually at the prison that day. So George Clooney and Ving Rhames have to throw her in the back of the car, and a love story starts. A love story that could only be made up at 3 Days of the Condor, which they do bring up themselves in this movie, which is, of course, great calling it out, and that's just great screenwriting by Scott Frank. And that's really where the story starts to take off from there, so everything else after this will be spoilers as far as the story, because this film is 24 years old, and I just want to talk about all the characters and their arcs and everything, as well as the filmmaking in general. Like I said, it's a beautiful film, but you get some great stories, and you also get some great characters. Like I said, Michael Keaton in this movie, and he's playing Ray Nicolette. Now, that name might be familiar to you because that character is in Jackie Brown, too, so it's a weird little crossover between Jackie Brown and Out of Sight. He plays the same character. He's actually dating Jenifer Lopez in this movie, but Jenifer Lopez has a thing for George Clooney's character. It's very strange. She somehow has fallen for a guy who's a criminal, but it's George Clooney, and he's extremely charming. Jenifer Lopez herself is no slouch. This actually is I think, Jenifer Lopez's second best movie that she's ever made. The year before she made Selena, and for me, I don't think anything will ever top Selena. That's one of my favorite music biopics ever. That's the only movie I've ever actually bought on iTunes is Selena, because it doesn't have a Blu-ray release, which is unfortunate. I'd pay big money for a 4K release of Selena. She's never really performed much better than she does here. She is charming as well, because this movie is, it's not just a drama, even though it might be set up like that. This is very much a lighthearted comedy. Everyone is playing their roles very funny. This is just really a fun romp. Like, you're really gonna go into this, you're gonna have a good time. Don't expect a lot of drama. Everyone's just playing their parts very lightheartedly, very much delivering their lines in a very, like, kind of with a wink and a smile kind of way, and that's perfect for this movie. That's why you get guys like Steve Zahn, who's really funny in this movie, or you get guys like Albert Brooks, guys who are big in the comedy genre, and they really do shine here. And then you get Don Cheadle in this movie, who worked with Steven Soderbergh numerous times after this, and he's great as always. And then you get guys in small roles too, like Dennis Farina. Dennis Farina was popping up big in the late 90s. I mean, obviously his career started as far as an actor in the 80s, but in the late 90s he was popping up in everything, and he is great in this movie as Jenifer Lopez's father, which might be a little hard to believe, but hey, he is her father. They have and the two of them have really good chemistry, actually. You really do buy into their relationship, and then you do buy into George Clooney and Jenifer Lopez's relationship. It's just a well-written movie. It's a beautifully shot movie, like I keep saying, and some scenes that I really did want to point out are like when they're in Detroit at the hotel or the hotel bar with the snow coming down outside the windows. That is just gorgeous. And Steven Soderbergh and his cinematographer, he wasn't the cinematographer on this film, I believe, but the way that this film is shot is just like in Traffic or in Contagion, where they put like a filter over it. So when they're in Miami in the beginning, it's very orange looking, and then when they go to Detroit for the second half of the movie, it's very blue looking, and that is something that we saw that Steven Soderbergh did in Traffic with the 3 different colors showing the 3 different storylines. So he experimented with that here. He also experimented with the non-linear storytelling that we would see in Ocean's 11 in this movie. And also, this movie was nominated for Best Editing for Ann Coates, who did the editing on such classic films as Lawrence of Arabia, and that was something that stuck out amazingly to me, was the edit of this film, actually. I just thought it was edited amazingly. It actually was giving me anxiety thinking about how she edited this movie, because there's certain scenes where they're talking, like the dialogue is playing, but it's not them. It's them saying dialogue, but it's not the exact scene where they said the dialogue. Sometimes they'll cut back to that scene, but you have to overlay so many different layers of film and sound, and, I edit videos myself, and that really was like driving me crazy trying to figure out how does she do that, or how did she keep everything in line to do that. So that was just really impressive from a technical standpoint. That's kind of the stuff that I love, is seeing certain aspects of the way a film is made, and Steven Soderbergh is definitely going to show you that, because he is inspired by a lot of different genres of film and a lot of different ways of shooting. He just loves to experiment, and it just shines off screen here. Anyway, enough of me about rambling on about this film. It is a great film. It's one of my favorites from the late 90s. It's definitely one of my favorite Steven Soderbergh films, so it's definitely a recommendation for the film, but we're here to talk about the 4K Blu-ray release, so let's dive into that. So Kino Lorber put out this 4K Blu-ray release of Out of Sight. It just came out on June 27, 2022, and Kino Lorber is one of the great boutique studios. They put out a lot of classic films. You'll see films from them like The Killing, Singing in the Rain, or I did a review on this channel for Touch of Evil, and it's nice to see them doing one from the late 90s, and this is actually the original movie poster on it on this slipcover, and then if you take the slipcover off, you get the same poster underneath. Kino Lorber, it's not the flashiest box art, but it's got a nice slipcover, very clean looking. I don't really have a complaint about that. One thing I do like about this, it's a small little detail, but I don't have the greatest of vision, so it's nice that everything lining the back of the box is in a bigger, blown up graphic or font. That worked out really nice for me. But as far as visuals goes, this is a huge upgrade over visuals from what I've seen of the film in the past. I do not have a Blu-ray to compare it to. I have streamed this before, and I have seen the DVD. But it's a huge upgrade from what I remembered. It's got that film grain still on there, so you get really noticeable attention to details. It has Dolby Vision and HDR10 on there, so it looks beautiful. Definitely the colors really pop, and like I said, this is shot with such scenes in Miami are very much in orange, and then the scenes in Detroit are very much in blue, and the attention to the cinematography is gorgeous, and it really lends itself to the visuals of this film. Did it blow me away as far as visuals? Not 100%. I'm gonna be 100% honest. There were certain scenes that blew me away, I'm not gonna lie, but like I said, the scenes in the hotel I thought were gorgeous. And then, you know, some of the scenes in Miami early in the movie I thought were really good. And then there's a scene also where Ving Rhames and George Clooney are standing on a bridge early in the movie, and the way the lights are behind them really did pop, and I really did think that the 4K format and the HDR really did help that. So I do think the visuals are really well done on this film. And actually something that really surprised me was the audio, because this isn't an Dolby Atmos track or anything, even though it has Dolby Vision. It only has a DTS HD 5.1 on here, and that really was a really good DTS HD track, I'm not gonna lie. There's some shootouts in this movie, and those shootouts with the audio really did pop, and certain scenes with the audio too was really like filling my room and coming from behind me, and I was really surprised. I really didn't expect the audio to be that good, but it's really top scale audio, at least from my experience with it. It's, I would say that's really the shining star of this film as far as this 4K release is the audio. I thought it was really well done. It definitely surprised me. It's definitely really good, you know, and it's also got a 2.0 if that's what you're into, if you want to listen to it on a mono track. That's no problem at all. It's on here as well. And also, as far as extras go, I've said on the past, I really like it when they do retrospectives or documentaries on the film, and that's really the big extra on this. There's just an original documentary about the making of this film. It's got interviews with all the stars and director and everybody like that. So that I watched last night. It's great, and there's not really much else. There's a commentary track, there's some deleted scenes and trailers, but really the big star is that documentary. But I could see other people being disappointed that there aren't a lot of choices. So to be fair, just because that was, you know, personal preference, I would prefer the documentary to always be on there over anything else. I know a lot of people would prefer the commentary tracks, and I believe there's only one. So, you know, I could see, just to be fair, I'm going to say that it's kind of right down the middle as far as extras go, because it feels like it was more catered to me, but that doesn't mean that they're catering to everybody else either. So, as far as extras go, I still do think that it's very good, and this is overall as a package, Kino Lorber, as they usually do as far as Boutique Studios. They really knocked it out of the park again. I love that they gave some love to a, maybe not the most known Steven Soderbergh film, even though it has stars like George Clooney and Jenifer Lopez. It's 24 years old. It might have just fell at the wayside for a lot of people, but I love this film personally. It's a lot of fun. You can't really spend a Saturday night having more fun than watching Out of Sight. So overall, I'm going to give the entire package, including film, packaging, visuals, audio, extras, I'm going to give Out of Sight a pretty solid 8 out of 10. Check this one out if you want to. If you want to grab the Kino Lorber 4K. It used to be on Netflix, I believe, or Amazon Prime, but I'm pretty sure you can still stream it. At the very least, you can rent it on Amazon Prime for $3.99 or $2.99 in standard definition, so there's plenty of ways to check this film out if you can't grab the Kino Lorber 4K. But it's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway questions. So it's almost the 4th of July here in America, and that means that, you know, summer's kicking into high gear. So I figured this week's 2 giveaway questions would be in honor of that. But we've gotten a lot of new subscribers lately, so I'm just going to tell everyone the rules again. This is how, I'm just going to tell everyone the rules again, so this is how it works. Every Friday, in a Friday's video at the end of it, we will ask 2 questions. All you have to do is answer one in the comment section below. You don't have to answer both, but if you want to, feel free. And you're automatically entered for a shot to win one of these 30 digital codes that we will be giving away. Actually, this week again, just like the last 2 weeks, we're going to be giving away 2. So this week we'll have 2 winners again, like we did the last few weeks. So definitely, that's awesome for everyone who enters. So you had double the shot to win. So your odds have increased. Don't tell me the odds. Well, anyway. Hey guys, are you sure you noticed that my shirt changed? We had a little bit of an issue with the part of the video that I asked the giveaway questions in, so I had to come back and re-record this section. So I'm going to ask the questions right now. So the first question is going to be, what is your favorite summer blockbuster from the 90s, and what is your favorite summer blockbuster from the 80s? You only have to answer one. You don't have to answer both, but like I said earlier in the video, I'm not going to stop you. Just make sure you guys come back to Monday's video where we spin the magic wheel. That's where we're going to be talking our favorite movies to watch on the 4th of July. So that's where we're going to spin the magic wheel, and that's where we're going to pick our 2 winners for this week's digital code giveaway. And like I said, you get your own choice of one of these 30 digital codes. And guys, if you notice, the subscribers, we're getting very close to 500, and as you know, when we hit 500 subscribers, that's when we're going to be giving away a Godfather 4K trilogy set, the physical edition, not the digital code. It's going to be factory sealed for you. So guys, if you like this video, please, it really helps us out if you like, share, and subscribe, and you tell all your friends.